All right, everyone, get ready for our deep dive today.
Okay.
Into mental health.
Sounds good.
It's something we all have.
We do.
Like physical health.
Right.
And I think a lot of times there's this misconception that it's something that only other people deal with.
Yeah, it's true.
Or that it's, if you struggle with it, there's something wrong with you.
Totally agree.
But
well, and it's often perceived as this rare thing.
Okay.
When in reality, it's statistically very common.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
anxiety and depression are practically household names these days.
That's a good point. It's true.
Yeah.
And it's more than just those two, right?
Right.
Mental health is like this huge umbrella.
It is.
So where do we even begin
Well,
to unpack it all?
think of it this way.
Okay.
It's not just about feeling happy or sad.
Okay.
It's really about how we think, how we feel,
Yeah.
and how we cope with everything.
Got it.
Life throws at us, and it affects everything.
Wow.
Our relationships, our work, our creativity, our physical health.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
really woven into the fabric of our lives.
So it's woven in.
Yeah.
But how common are we talking, really?
Okay, well,
Should I be worried if I have a bad day? Or is it...
That's a good question because everyone experiences ups and downs.
Right.
But here's a statistic that might surprise you.
Okay.
Research suggests that almost 2/3 of people who are dealing with a mental health condition never seek professional help.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot more than I would have guessed.
It is.
Wow.
And it makes you wonder how many people are silently struggling.
I'm guessing stigma has a lot to do with that.
Stigma is a huge factor.
Yeah.
It's like this invisible barrier that keeps people from talking about their struggles, even with close friends or family.
Right.
And it can make you feel like you're all alone.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder to reach out for support.
That makes sense. Yeah, that feeling of isolation is so powerful.
It is.
It can really make things spiral.
Absolutely.
So let's get into some specifics.
Sure.
What are some of the most common mental health conditions that people face?
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about the obvious ones.
Right.
Like, what else is out there?
Sure. So anxiety and depression are the big ones, no doubt.
Okay.
But there's also PTSD.
Okay.
Which can be incredibly debilitating for those who have experienced trauma.
Right.
Then you have bipolar disorder.
Okay.
Which involves intense shifts in mood and energy.
I see. Okay, those are all conditions that we've all heard of.
Sure.
But I think it's easy to just throw those terms around without really understanding what they mean.
Right.
Like, what are the...
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Because awareness is key.
Okay.
So, for instance, take anxiety.
Okay.
If someone is constantly on edge, worrying excessively, having trouble sleeping,
Okay.
those are all potential red flags.
Red flags. Okay.
And with depression,
Yeah.
it goes beyond just feeling sad.
Okay.
We're talking about losing interest in things you once loved,
Yeah.
feeling hopeless,
Right.
maybe even experiencing physical symptoms
Oh, wow.
like fatigue
Okay.
or changes in appetite.
So it's more than just a mood.
Yes.
It can really impact your whole life.
Absolutely.
But how do we know when it's time to seek help?
That's a good point.
I mean, we all have rough patches.
We do.
Right.
Everyone has ups and downs.
Yeah.
But when these feelings start to interfere with your daily life,
Got it.
your work,
Yeah.
your relationships,
Yeah.
or if they just don't seem to go away,
Yeah.
it's time to consider reaching out.
Okay.
And that's where professional diagnosis comes in. It's so important not to rely on self-diagnosis based on something you read online.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Google can be a dangerous beast sometimes.
Like it can be.
It's so easy to spiral down a rabbit hole of information and misinterpret what you're reading.
Exactly.
So why is professional diagnosis so crucial?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Mental health professionals have years of training and experience.
That's true.
They know how to differentiate between typical ups and downs and a diagnosable condition.
Right.
Plus, they can tailor treatment to your specific needs.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you wouldn't try to set your own broken bone, right?
Exactly.
You'd go to a doctor.
Right.
So let's talk more about
Oh.
breaking the stigma.
Okay.
We've all heard about it.
Sure.
But why is it so harmful?
It's harmful because it prevents people from seeking help when they need it most.
Okay.
They fear being judged, labeled, or treated differently. In some cases, they might even worry about losing their jobs or damaging their relationships.
It's almost like mental health challenges are seen as a weakness or a character flaw instead of what they are, an illness.
Exactly.
Like any other.
There's an illness like any other illness.
And that silence can be deafening, can it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It keeps people trapped in their struggles.
Right.
Feeling alone and isolated. It can even lead to feelings of hopelessness.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there are so many incredible stories of people who have faced mental health challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
And those stories are so powerful.
They are.
You know, it's like, if they can do it, maybe I can too.
Absolutely.
Do you have any examples from the research that we looked at for this episode?
We came across a bunch.
Okay.
One person described battling severe anxiety for years.
Wow.
Before finally deciding to see a therapist.
Okay.
They talked about how relieved they felt to finally be able to understand and manage their anxiety. They even said that seeking help was the best decision they ever made.
See, those kinds of stories give me hope.
Yeah.
It's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
It is.
And it shows that there's no shame in asking for help.
Absolutely not.
But it's not just about seeking help for ourselves, right?
Right.
We can all play a role in creating a more supportive environment for others.
Yeah.
How do we actually do that?
It starts with simple things.
Okay.
Educating ourselves, challenging misconceptions, and speaking out against discrimination.
Okay.
We need to be more mindful of the language we use and create safe spaces for people to share their experiences without fear of judgment.
So it's about being an ally.
It is.
Not just in words, but in actions, too. It's about being that listening ear, offering support, and being empathetic.
Exactly.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes even being that supportive friend can be draining.
It can be.
You know?
Yeah.
You want to help.
Sure.
But you also need to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the crucial topic of self-care.
Self-care, right?
It's not just about bubble baths and face masks.
Okay.
It's really about taking intentional steps to nurture our mental and emotional well-being.
Okay.
Think of it as preventative maintenance.
Preventative maintenance.
Yeah, I like that.
For your mind.
Okay. Yeah. It makes it sound less frivolous.
Right.
And more like, well, essential.
It is essential.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach?
Absolutely not.
Right.
What works for one person might be completely different for someone else.
Right.
It's about finding what brings you joy, what helps you relax, and what nourishes your soul.
Okay. I like that.
It could be anything.
All right.
From mindful breathing exercises to getting lost in a good book.
It's about finding those little pockets of peace.
It is.
In our chaotic lives, right?
Yes.
And making them a priority.
Yes.
Not an afterthought.
Exactly.
So what are some other practical self-care strategies you would recommend? Things people can actually incorporate into their busy lives.
I'm a big believer in the power of routine.
Routine. Okay.
It doesn't have to be rigid.
Okay.
But having a general structure to your day can help reduce anxiety and create a sense of stability.
That makes sense.
And of course, there's the classic advice of getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising regularly.
It sounds so basic.
I know.
But I think we often forget
we do.
How much they impact our mental health.
Yeah.
It's like we're running on fumes.
Yes.
Expecting our minds to function perfectly when we haven't even given them the basic fuel they need.
It's so true.
It is.
We tend to neglect our basic needs.
Yeah.
Until we hit a wall.
Yeah, until we crash.
Right.
And speaking of hitting a wall, it's important to remember that self-care has its limits.
It does.
It's not a cure-all.
And it's not a substitute for professional help.
Exactly.
When you're dealing with serious mental health concerns.
Right, like trying to fix a broken leg.
Yeah.
With a Band-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you need professional intervention.
Right.
To really heal.
Okay.
And speaking of professional help,
Okay, yeah, let's get into that.
Let's talk about the signs that indicate the need for professional help and explore the resources available to those who are struggling.
Okay.
And remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness.
Okay.
It's a sign of strength.
It takes courage to admit
It does.
that you need support. And that's something to be admired.
It is.
But it can be daunting to know where to even begin.
I agree.
So we'll be right back to delve into that.
Sounds good.
And empower you with the knowledge and resources you need.
Absolutely.
To navigate the world of mental health care.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We're back and ready to tackle the sometimes overwhelming world of professional mental health care.
Okay.
A lot of people out there are probably thinking, okay, I get it.
Right.
Mental health is important.
Yeah.
But how do I know when it's time to actually see someone?
That's a really common question.
Right.
And it's not always a clear-cut answer.
Right.
But there are some definite red flags to look out for.
Okay, like what?
Persistent sadness, hopelessness, loss of interest in things you used to enjoy.
Right.
Those are all signs
that
something deeper might be going on.
What about more subtle signs?
Okay.
Like what if you're just feeling constantly on edge or having trouble concentrating at work?
Sure.
Are those things to be concerned about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you're experiencing changes in your sleep patterns, appetite, or energy levels, those are also worth paying attention to.
Okay.
And don't discount physical symptoms either.
Like what?
Sometimes anxiety or depression can manifest as headaches, stomach aches,
Really?
or even muscle tension.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
So basically if something feels off
Right.
for an extended period of time, it's better to err on the side of caution
Yes,
and talk to a professional.
absolutely.
They can help you figure out what's going on
Right.
and what steps you can take to feel better.
Exactly.
But isn't finding the right professional kind of a challenge?
It can be.
I mean, there are therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists.
Yes.
It's a whole alphabet soup of titles.
I know, right?
It can definitely feel confusing.
Yeah, but think of it like this.
Okay.
Each type of mental health professional
Yeah.
brings their own unique expertise to the table.
Okay, so break it down for us.
Okay.
Let's start with therapists and counselors.
Okay.
What do they typically focus on?
Therapists and counselors are usually your first stop for talk therapy.
Got it.
They create a safe space for you to explore your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They can help you develop coping mechanisms, improve your communication skills, and work through challenging life experiences.
Okay.
Think of them as your guide on the journey of self-discovery.
So they're like the Sherpas of mental health care.
I like that analogy.
Leading you through the tough terrain.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you have psychologists
Yes.
who have a doctoral degree in psychology.
Right.
They're trained in psychological testing and assessment.
Yes.
So they can actually diagnose mental health conditions
You can.
and provide evidence-based treatments like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT.
Exactly.
So psychologists bring a more clinical approach to the table.
Exactly. They're experts
Okay.
in the science of the mind.
All right, and finally you have psychiatrists
Yes.
who are medical doctors specializing in mental health.
Right.
They can prescribe medication
They can.
and provide other medical interventions when necessary.
Right.
So if someone's mental health condition
Right.
requires medication management, a psychiatrist would be the right professional to see.
Precisely.
Okay.
But the great thing is these professionals often work together
Okay,
to provide comprehensive care.
that makes sense.
So your therapist might refer you to a psychiatrist for medication management.
Okay.
Or your primary care physician
Yeah.
might coordinate
Okay.
with a psychologist
Right.
to ensure you're getting the most appropriate treatment.
It's like a whole team of experts
Yes,
working together to support your mental well-being.
it is.
But how do you actually find these resources?
Right.
Where do you even begin?
Thankfully, there are a ton of resources available,
Okay.
both online and in your local community.
Okay, so give us some examples.
The National Alliance on Mental Illness, or
NAM.
NAMI,
Okay.
is a great place to start.
Okay.
They have a wealth of information on mental health conditions,
Okay.
support groups, and even advocacy resources.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what about online therapy platforms?
Sure.
Are those a legitimate option?
Definitely.
For people who might not have access to traditional in-person therapy?
Online therapy platforms like BetterHelp
Okay.
and Talkspace have really taken off in recent years.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
They offer convenient and often more affordable access
Okay.
to licensed therapists.
It's good.
Plus, you can usually choose from a variety of therapy formats,
Like what?
like video sessions,
Okay.
phone calls, or even just messaging.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It removes so many of the barriers
Right.
that might prevent people from seeking help.
Exactly.
Like transportation issues or scheduling conflicts.
Exactly.
And you know what else I find fascinating?
What's that? Mental health apps.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like there's an app for everything these
Wait,
days.
does?
And mental health is no exception.
It's true.
There are apps for meditation, mindfulness, mood tracking,
Right.
even CBT exercises.
Yes.
What are some of the popular ones?
Some of the popular ones include Headspace
Okay.
and Calm for meditation,
Okay.
Mood Path and Dailyo
Right.
for tracking your mood,
Okay.
and Wobot for AI-powered CBT.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that covers the online resources.
Right.
But what about people who prefer in-person support?
Okay.
What's available in their local communities?
Most communities have mental health clinics,
Okay.
community centers, and support groups that offer a range of services.
Right. And how do you find those?
You can often find information about these resources by contacting your local health department,
Okay.
United Way, or even by searching online directories. Don't forget about college and university counseling centers.
That's a great point.
They often have resources available for students in the surrounding community.
Right.
And if you're ever facing a crisis situation, there are always hotlines available 24/7
Yes.
that can provide immediate support and
Right.
connect you with local resources.
Exactly.
Do you have any examples of those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 988
988, okay.
and the Crisis Text Line,
Okay.
which you can access by texting HOME to 741-741.
All right, so you just text HOME to 741-741.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. Those are incredible lifelines
Okay.
for people in crisis.
Yeah.
These hotlines are staffed with trained professionals
Okay.
who can provide guidance and support
Right.
when you need it most.
It's so reassuring to know
It is.
that those resources are available no matter what time of day and night.
Absolutely.
But what about when it's not you who's struggling,
Okay.
but a loved one?
Right.
How do you approach that situation in a way that's helpful and supportive without being overbearing or judgmental?
That's such an important question.
It is.
It can be really tough to watch someone you care about struggle with their mental health.
Yeah.
But remember, you're not alone.
Okay.
And there are ways to approach the situation
Okay.
with sensitivity and compassion.
Yeah. So give us some advice.
Sure.
What's the best way to start that conversation?
Start by expressing your concern
Okay.
and letting them know
Yeah.
that you've noticed changes in their behavior or mood,
Got it.
but avoid being accusatory
Okay.
or making them feel like they're doing something wrong.
So instead of saying, you seem really depressed lately, maybe say something like, I've noticed you've been withdrawing a lot lately, and I'm worried about you.
Exactly.
Sure.
Focus on specific behaviors you've observed and make sure you're coming from a place of genuine care and concern.
Okay.
Let them know that you're there for them,
Right.
that you're willing to listen without judgment, and that you support them seeking professional help
Right.
if they feel it's necessary.
It's about creating that safe space for them.
It is.
To open up and share what they're going through.
Exactly.
But it's also important to respect their boundaries.
Absolutely.
And understand that they might not be ready to talk about it right away.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing you can do
Yeah.
is simply be present,
Okay.
offer your support, and let them know that you're there for them
Right.
when they're ready.
And remember, you're not a therapist.
Right.
And you don't have to have all the answers.
Exactly.
Sometimes just listening and being there is enough.
And that's a perfect segue
Okay.
into our next topic,
Right.
self-care.
Self-care. Okay.
Because even when you're supporting someone else,
Yeah.
you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself too.
Okay.
It's not selfish.
Right.
It's essential.
We're going to delve deeper into the art of self-care
Okay.
and explore some practical strategies
Sounds good.
for incorporating it into your daily life.
Great.
We're back and ready to dive into the all-important topic of self-care.
Yeah.
Because let's face it,
Right.
supporting others, navigating life's challenges, it can all take a toll.
There's this misconception that self-care is some sort of indulgence, something you only do when you have extra time.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's about prioritizing your well-being.
Okay.
Which ultimately makes you better equipped to handle everything.
Everything else life throws at you.
That's like that saying.
It is.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some simple but effective ways
to
refill our cups, even when life feels crazy busy?
Start by thinking small. We don't need to overhaul our entire routines overnight.
Right.
Instead, try incorporating 1 or 2 tiny acts of self-care into your day.
Like what?
Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation in the morning.
Okay.
A walk during your lunch break. Or even just taking a moment to savor a cup of tea in silence.
It's about finding those little pockets of peace.
It is.
And really being present in them, right?
Exactly.
Not letting your mind race off to the next item on your to-do list.
And self-care doesn't have to be time-consuming or expensive.
Okay, that's good.
It's about being intentional.
Okay.
About how you spend your time and energy.
How do we do that?
Maybe it's saying no to that extra commitment.
Right.
Setting boundaries with work emails after hours.
Okay.
Or simply choosing to spend your free time doing something that genuinely brings you joy.
It's about giving yourself permission to recharge.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we often feel guilty for taking time for ourselves. Like it's somehow selfish.
And that's where self-compassion comes in.
Self-compassion. Okay.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a friend.
That makes sense.
So instead of beating yourself up for not being perfect, acknowledge that you're doing your best.
Okay.
And offer yourself some words of encouragement.
Self-compassion is like this muscle.
It is.
We need to build, right?
We do.
Because we're often our own harshest critics.
So true.
So true.
But the more we practice self-compassion, the more resilient we become.
Okay. And speaking of resilience, what are some other ways we can equip ourselves to bounce back from challenges?
Right.
Because let's face it.
Yeah.
Life is full of curveballs.
Life is full of curveballs.
Life is full of curveballs.
We can't avoid them.
We can't.
But we can learn to navigate them.
Yes.
With more grace and strength.
One thing
that really contributes to resilience. Is having a strong support system.
Okay. So like friends and family.
Friends, family.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're not alone.
Right.
That you have people you can turn to for help. Or just a listening ear. Can make all the difference in the world.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders in your corner.
Yes.
Reminding you that you got this.
Right.
Even when you're feeling down.
Exactly.
And it's not just about receiving support.
Right.
It's about giving it as well, right?
Absolutely.
I know that when I help others, it often boosts my own mood and sense of purpose.
It's this beautiful cycle of reciprocity.
Okay.
And another crucial element of resilience. Is cultivating a positive outlook.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about toxic positivity or denying the hard stuff.
Right.
It's more about choosing to focus on the good, even in the midst of challenges.
Okay.
It's about finding those silver linings.
Okay.
The lessons learned, the opportunities for growth.
It's like reframing those failures as learning experiences.
Exactly.
Stepping stones on the path to something greater.
Absolutely.
And it takes practice, right?
It does.
Our brains are wired.
They are.
To focus on the negative.
Yes.
So shifting to a more positive perspective requires conscious effort.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's a skill that we can develop over time.
So how do we develop that skill?
Well, one practical way to cultivate a more positive outlook is to practice gratitude.
Okay.
Taking a few minutes each day to reflect on the things you're grateful for, no matter how small, can have a profound impact on your overall well-being.
Gratitude is like this superpower.
It is.
That can shift your entire perspective.
Absolutely.
It's hard to feel down when you're actively focusing on the good things in your life.
Well,
and you know what else I think is incredibly empowering?
What's that?
Setting realistic goals. Okay.
And celebrating those small victories along the way.
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in this all or nothing mentality.
I know.
But progress, even in tiny increments, is still progress.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Breaking down those big, overwhelming goals into smaller, more manageable steps
Right.
can make all the difference.
Yeah.
And don't forget to celebrate those milestones.
Yes, celebrate those wins.
Yes.
No matter how seemingly insignificant,
I agree.
those little wins add up over time.
They do.
And they fuel our motivation to keep going.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
building resilience, but what about creating a more supportive world for mental health?
Right.
What can we do collectively to dismantle the stigma
Yeah.
and foster a culture of understanding and compassion?
It's about creating a world
Yeah.
where people feel safe to talk about their mental health
Right.
without fear of judgment. Okay.
Where seeking help is seen as a sign of strength.
Yeah.
And where self-care is prioritized.
So how do we do it?
Well,
Give us those actionable steps.
first and foremost,
Okay.
we need to educate ourselves and others about mental health.
Okay.
The more we understand about
Yeah.
mental health conditions, the better equipped we are
Right.
to challenge those misconceptions and stereotypes.
It's about normalizing these conversations,
Yes.
bringing mental health out of the shadows
Absolutely.
and into the light.
Into the light.
And it's about challenging those harmful stereotypes
Yes.
and judgments we encounter.
Right.
We need to be upstanders, not bystanders.
Absolutely.
And we can also support organizations
We can.
that are doing incredible work to promote mental health awareness
Yeah.
and provide resources to those in need.
Right.
So volunteer your time,
Yes.
donate to their cause,
Yeah.
or simply spread the word
Right.
about their valuable services.
Exactly.
And let's not forget the power of social media.
Oh, social media. Yeah.
It can be a double-edged sword,
It can.
but it can also be a powerful platform
Yeah.
for sharing stories,
Yeah.
connecting with others who understand,
Right.
and amplifying the message that mental health matters.
It's about using our voices
Yeah.
to create a more compassionate and supportive online world.
Okay.
We can share our own experiences, challenge stigma,
Yeah.
and offer support to those who are struggling. Even small actions
Yes.
can have a ripple effect.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Sounds good.
If you're struggling, please remember
Yeah.
you are not alone.
You are not alone.
There is hope,
There is
and help is available.
help is available.
Your mental health matters,
It does.
and you deserve to live a happy,
We do.
healthy,
Right.
and fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to reach out for support.
Don't be a...
Talk to a friend, a family member,
Mm-hmm.
a mental health professional,
Yeah.
or even just call a hotline.
Right.
There are people who care about you
There are.
and resources available to help you through this.
Absolutely.
This has been such an insightful
It has.
and important conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into mental health awareness.
My pleasure.
We hope you found it informative,
Mm-hmm.
empowering, and encouraging.
Yes.
Remember, we're all in this together.
We are.
Take care of yourselves
Yes.
and each other.
Until next time.